You trying to play?
I have a guest.
Well, come on. Come on. I'm not chasing you. I know that's what you want.
Alright, so why did I play a kind of crappy version of War Pigs, though? Well, as you can tell from the title of the video,
Brownie, I understand you have opinions, but people don't want to hear dog opinions. This is not a dog channel. I mean, maybe I'll get more views if you just talked.
anyway, as you can tell from the title of this video, a lot of people, at least from personal experience, will say things like, I just don't like politics. I don't want politics in my music. I don't want politics in my movies. I don't like it when people have to force their political beliefs down your throat. And this is just kind of like a sentiment that is a little bit annoying to me. The reason why I picked War Pigs as a sort of example for what I'm talking about is the fact that any even casual listener of the song War Pigs will tell you that this is supposed to be an anti-war song. It is a song about how the rich send the poor to fight wars. Very similar sentiments to a lot of songs in the 70s. People who were very upset with wars like the Vietnam War. This is something that we're able to digest nowadays because we are 50 years away from this time period. And believe it or not, you can see a lot of the same things and the same ideas if you trace back the influences of other forms of media that you also listen to. So one common example that you can see is for movies like Star Wars. George Lucas was very anti-war. He grew up around the Vietnam War, and he was very scarred, like a whole generation of people, by the government, how they can have very atrocious actions in places overseas, and how protesters were often treated.
Brownie, can you stop barking?
He has different political beliefs than I do, so he tends to argue. But George Lucas very much made Star Wars not only anti-war, but anti-imperialism, and anybody who actually pays even a modicum of attention of what is described in the prequels, you find that a lot of the politics kind of echoes a little bit of the Bush era and some of the things that you find in Reagan era and even Nixon era of politics. This has always been one aspect of people who claim to not really care about politics really bother me is just pretending as if a lot of other things that we take for granted is politically neutral. I can go on and on and on for everyday examples, but honestly, if you're curious enough, you can start looking into your own inspirations for things that you happen to be around, and you can see the politics behind a lot of the things that you actually consume every single day. Another problem that I have with people who say these things is a lot of people who tend to say stuff like, I don't like politics in my music, I don't like politics in my movies. A lot of them tend to be very, very right-leaning. The term woke has been used to describe a number of things today that encapsulate a number of opinions and perspectives that have kind of always sort of existed even throughout history. However, it makes people who are typically conservative, especially those who support a lot more aggressive things like aggressive policing and wars and more conservative values, it makes them very uncomfortable. A lot of the people who say things like, I don't like politics in my music, I don't like politics in my movies, I don't like it when people share their political opinions, more often than not, they actually do share political opinions on a very regular basis. Maybe they don't do it quite as much as some people who say it all the time, people like me who probably post on Facebook constantly and who make YouTube videos, sometimes occasionally talking about politics, sometimes occasionally playing music. More often than not, people who say that they don't like politics are just hearing a political opinion that they don't like, and they only register that as politics. This is and one of the main reasons why I got so upset when Ozzy Osbourne died. Ozzy Osbourne while not outright political 24/7, did make a lot of songs that probably were pretty critical of a lot of people today, and even some personal political opinions. War Pigs being one of the most primeval examples of him criticizing politics. A lot of the people that mourn the death of Ozzy Osbourne didn't really understand a lot of his song lyrics and why some of the song lyrics were actually really compelling. This is also further exemplified by more people with conservative leaning tendencies playing Green Day songs over their TikToks. It kind of just shows this weird cognitive dissonance, or at least, at the very least, being the most gracious of people who do these things, maybe they're trying to be ironic, but I sincerely doubt it. The problem is a lot of people today just don't really understand what a lot of art is trying to convey and why some of it's so compelling. It's the same thing that I experience whenever I tell people that I'm not really a religious person. Every time religion comes up in conversation and I happen to tell people that I don't believe in God, all of a sudden I'm the atheist. I'm just somebody who wants to shove that down your throats. I'm somebody who wants to make you not believe in God. But these people can hang around other Christians every single day, and they don't even recognize it half the time whenever these people are being religious, unless if it's so egregious that it's actually annoying. The truth of the matter is you only really recognize an opinion whenever it's an opinion that bothers you. And whenever an opinion bothers you, it's normally because you disagree with it. And it really codes everything in your life into thinking that only your opponents are really political and that you are speaking truth. This is kind of like another thing that a lot of politics and propaganda does, is they're doing propaganda, you're speaking truth. Any sort of political coded messaging is a form of propaganda. Any sort of opinion that is mass said over and over again, anything that any idea or message that a lot of people are trying to spread, technically is propaganda. If you share a meme, you are participating in propaganda. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that you have to be able to recognize. Part of me is concerned with the current political landscape of music, because what happens when current people and current musicians want to speak their opinions, want to write music, and want to be inspired by the things that bother them. The older bands, System of a Down, prime example, even Green Day, an obviously anti-American nationalist band, somehow is revered by a lot of conservatives. Black Sabbath. I'm drawing a blank because I have ADHD and I haven't really prepared a script for this, but I might be able to provide you a list for this later. All of these bands are sort of grandfathered in as sort of older music. They're not really that people don't really view them as sort of politically relevant, and people really remember these songs fondly because they didn't really have to pay attention to what these songs were specifically trying to say. Or at the very least, when they had different political opinions when they were younger, they were able to identify with it, or at least it speaks to a different time period. So again, these things are grandfathered in. But a lot of these people, somebody who would listen to Green Day, is really going to bash somebody today who's writing what is essentially a relatively similar song. And instead of criticizing it in a way that you should, which is how well is the song constructed, how talented are the musicians, how entertaining is the song, and is the message actually compelling, these things are coordinated as being political. And if you find a song that you disagree with to be political, but you're still willing to listen to the Star Spangled Banner, and you don't view that as political, you are unintentionally being a little bit, I don't want to say ironic or dumb, but you're just not really being self-aware with what you're saying. If you can listen to countless country music with all of these conservative themes and opinions, and you don't view that as political, or you don't view it as preachy, or however you need to verbalize it in your head to justify this sort of cognitive dissonance and different approaches to having an opinion with these different songs, you aren't really paying attention to music in general, and you're not really paying attention to things that you like. playing that song really bothered you, and it probably bothered a lot of conservatives. One, because it's bad playing, but two, it's because it is a national anthem. Again, playing a national anthem incorrectly or playing it in a way that bothers people really kind of sparks a political outrage. If hearing those wrong notes bothered you any more than just, hey, that wasn't the correct notes, or hey, that didn't sound good, or hey, you probably should have practiced that a little bit more beforehand, and it actually becomes a little bit offensive to you, that is politics. And you have to be able to recognize this. Maybe I should have practiced that a little bit more. But you kind of get the picture of what I'm saying. Stop writing things off just because you want to disagree with it, and start actually consuming your art in a way that's more meaningful than just being entertained by it. Sometimes you do have a Nickelback. Sometimes you do have some bands that just want to have a good vibe, and that's perfectly okay. But there really is another layer to what a lot of the music you take for granted is that you're not really paying attention to. And in this current political climate, I think it's really easy to write off things that you disagree with.